But we'll go ahead and start with the big news that Shane Beamer discussed yesterday. And going into spring practice, one of the biggest things that was discussed, or the things to watch for, was how the quarterback competition was going to go between Robbie Ashford, the transfer from Oregon and Auburn, coming in to compete for the starting job with LaNorris Sellers, who was a true freshman last year, appeared in a few games, went 4 for 4 with 2 touchdowns and against Furman in the second half, and then ran for a pretty big touchdown against Vanderbilt in that game. Dual threat guy, the presumed starter. He took, from my understanding, a good bit of the starting reps during the spring, and had a pretty solid spring game. Well, when asked about it yesterday, Shane Beamer made it somewhat official that going into fall camp, quote-unquote fall camp, that LaNorris Sellers will be QB1.
I'll tell you guys what I told LaNorris and all the quarterbacks coming out of spring practice. LaNorris is our starting quarterback. But just like all of our positions, that we will continue to compete at all positions. So I told Robbie Ashford the moment I say that at a Gamecock Club event, the headline's going to be Beamer names LaNorris Sellers starting quarterback. LaNorris is the starting quarterback coming out of spring. And now, like I told LaNorris and like I told Robbie did a great job during spring practice along with our other quarterbacks. LaNorris did a great job, and I expect LaNorris to continue to compete and continue to earn that position as well. You guys know from being here, going into 2022, nobody thought that Nicky Mamori and DQ Smith were going to be starting safeties because we had 2 seniors that they were behind, and we got into week 2 and they became starters. So it's the same thing. We don't all of a sudden name someone, Debo Williams, as our starting linebacker coming out of spring practice, but he needs to have a great summer to continue to be the starting linebacker. So that's where we are, and I had those conversations with those guys the Monday after the spring game.
So there you have it. LaNorris Sellers, after spring camp or spring practices going into the summer, is the starting quarterback for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, this isn't very surprising. I think going into the season, no one found it, would find it shocking if on August 31st, when foot meets leather against Old Dominion, that LaNorris Sellers is going to be the starting quarterback. That's not surprising. There was going to be a competition, we knew. But it's not surprising that LaNorris Sellers is going to be the starter. I think what is a little surprising to me is that Shane did publicly go ahead and say that LaNorris Sellers is the starting quarterback heading into this summer. And I think it's a really good sign, mostly because he's got that public confidence in LaNorris. Now, clearly there's going to be more competition when they come back to campus after the summer, and they're practicing in August. So it's not set in stone, but for him to publicly say that LaNorris Sellers is the starter right now has to make Gamecock fans feel a little excited about the ability LaNorris has to take that step forward, right, into being a full-time starting quarterback in the SEC. Robbie Ashford has played at 2 different places that it's big-time college football. Yeah, the Pac-12 is no longer with us, but he played at Oregon, a very lucrative athletic department with a very proud football history and on a team that was really good. And then playing at Auburn in the SEC and getting some starts, some valuable reps, a guy who's taken a lot of snaps in the Southeastern Conference. To know publicly that Shane saw those 2 play and LaNorris was able to separate himself has to make you feel really good. Now, Shane could have yesterday said, hey, both guys are playing really, really well. We'll make our decision a little closer to week 1 against Old Dominion. A lot of coaches do that. Most coaches, actually, when there are 2 quarterbacks competing for one spot, aren't willing to lay all their cards out on the table, right? They're not willing to say, hey, this is the guy that we're going to lean with, that we're going to rock with going into the first game against Old Dominion or whoever it is that you're playing, right? A lot of coaches don't like doing that. Some of them can get really weird about that. But Shane publicly said that LaNorris is the number 1 guy, meaning that LaNorris was able to separate himself. And that's the one thing you wanted him to do, is if you were wanting LaNorris to be QB1 going into the season, you'd like to see that in the spring when he got his first opportunity to create some separation, that he would take that opportunity and create that separation. And I think by Shane yesterday, pretty much unprompted, saying that LaNorris Sellers will be the starting quarterback going into fall, quote-unquote, fall camp. That has to tell you, as Jay Phillips joins us now, welcome back, Jay, that I think Shane saw that LaNorris is able to create some separation.
Yeah, I like what you said, too, about the fact that Robbie has had some high-level experience, and this is what they've seen. And you don't want to make that sound like a knock, and I appreciated how Shane said what he did last night in Florence when he said, I told Robbie, look, the headline's going to be that you're not the number one guy. I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, the headline's going to be LaNorris' starting quarterback.
He prepared him for it.
Yeah. My gut tells me that Robbie had an idea of this all along. This goes back, again, to you and me having Shane on this program, the week before Christmas, give or take? Mm-hmm. Forget exactly, but in December, after the regular season, that's what I remember, telling us LaNorris is our guy, and that LaNorris has won over the locker room. The guys love him. Dowell loves him. He loves Dowell. And I think that was really crucial for Shane, was the relationship that LaNorris and Dowell were going to build. And so when you're recruiting Robbie Ashford, and especially in today's world, I mean, people know what's up. You know, you're not hiding anything from anybody. It's easy enough to call somebody and ask questions.
Oh, Robbie was in a situation at Auburn where he knew what was up, where the coach who brought him there got fired. The coach came in and brought in a quarterback with him. Right. That was a situation where he knew what's up and he knew it was going to be an uphill battle. So, I mean, Robbie knew what he was getting into, but he wanted or at least wanted the opportunity.
So, and he's gotten that. And mm-hmm. I think one of the things we've talked about, knock on wood, this is football. It's violent. People get hurt. Sometimes you get hurt for a series. Sometimes you get hurt for a game. Sometimes you get hurt for longer. You still need that daily motivation to continue to make yourself better. So there's a lot of things about it. But, I think all along, everybody in that room knew that. And they see the same thing. Here's the thing. They see more than we do, Elijah. That's the thing about it. But we had this idea all through last year. Like, man, they love LaNorris. I mean, the only reason, y'all, that you didn't see more of LaNorris is just that you had Spencer Rattler. And you really were doing all you could, to win those games. There was just South Carolina last year, unfortunately, was rarely in a position where you could give your backup quarterback meaningful opportunity. You were just either behind or, trying to just, fight like hell to win a couple of games late, especially. So, but it's, and I guess enough time has passed now. What are we, 2 weeks after the spring game, 3 weeks after the spring game? To say, all right, let's let everything breathe, and this is our number one,
and have some honest reflection too, right? Because these guys, they film every snap, every rep of every practice. They document everything that goes on in these practices. They take everything into consideration when it comes to deciding who's playing where and who's starting, and all the minute details that go into building a roster and a depth chart. Even though one day we're going to get that depth chart, Jay. One day we're going to get that depth chart, and we're not going to shut up about it. One day we're going to get it. But they have all the information they need. And I think after a couple of weeks, now that spring practice is over, this was a good time to do it, to instill some public confidence in LaNorris.
I agree. And again, offensive player of the spring, all those kind of accolades that went along with it. We've got some sound from Shane that we'll let you hear on that. Have you already played? I don't know if I got here.
I did play Shane talking about LaNorris being
QB1. You already played cut number 7?
That's right.
Okay.
Magic cut number 7.
For those of you who can't see us, and I know most of you are listening and not watching on YouTube, yours truly was just a couple of minutes late today. I do apologize.
You did beat your time, though. You did text me right as we were getting on. As the show was starting, be there within 10 minutes, and you came in at 3:06.
Yeah, I had
it's impressive.
Thank you. I did what I could. I had a meeting at 1:30 that I thought could run long, and sometimes these things happen.
Yep.
But Elijah was prepared.
Always.
Yeah. Always.
See, kids, like a good backup quarterback, you got to stay ready so you never have to get ready.
Oh, no, you're far more than a backup quarterback, sir, I assure you.